This week on another chapter of Depression, the game. Anyway, man, I'd like to not believe that Aki is actually dead. I'm in kind of a very strange like limbo on acceptance or not of this. I'm really hoping that maybe Aki had a situation like Denji and the chainsaw, and that like maybe the Gun Devil ended up giving him a contract of his own. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of weird to fully end off his character like this, but it's Fujimoto, so whereas the logic with a different mangaka, it's not going to apply here. The dude does not go on shonen script. He does whatever pretty much he pleases. He's like, as long as it doesn't violate any rules that, the just pushing the borders, then I'm fine. That's pretty much how Fujimoto operates. But, as it were, I'm I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed for now. Like the Gun Devil, we know the Gun Devil isn't truly dead. The devils never really die. They only kind of go back between hell and the world of the living. So, well, I guess it's the mortal realm because the devil still lives, sort of. But as it were, I'm I'm just kind of very optimistic over like the position of the story that the characters gonna have, because I don't think that the Gun Devil's story is completely over. Maybe we're gonna end like the Gun Devil like as the big bad guy, and then we'll move on to another big bad guy, because I think that Fujimoto said there'll be at least three parts of Chainsaw Man, the Gun Devil being, the Gun Devil saga kind of being one of those. So this could be the end of it. Maybe there's going to be a little bit more. Either way, the Gun Devil definitely will come back. Like, based off of the fact that we don't know the reason that the Gun Devil, like, was targeting the chainsaw. We don't know for, what the reason is. I think that at the very least, the Gun Devil will come back, through hell or, some means. Or maybe he's not actually kind of gone. Like I said, maybe he formed a contract with Aki, similar to how the chainsaw formed a contract with Denji. We'll see though. That's a waiting game. Who knows with Fujimoto? It's almost impossible to tell. Like the dude just completely just does not go to any real formula outside of like, hey, there's action, there's gonna be a fight. Normal, just kind of like base logic stuff, and then anything beyond that, like who the hell knows what he's planning. But like as it were, like the chapter starts out and it's like Aki and power, and they're looking at essentially Denji in power, and they have Aki's will, who split half of it to Denji in power, and the other half went to Himeno's family, which again was really nice to see used later, like the whole stuff with Himeno's side of things. I did really like that. I miss her. I really liked her character. It's rough because like Fujimoto just wants you to get attached to these characters and kill them off. And I think that Fujimoto does like an excellent combination of how I think deaths in series should go. Because just killing off a character to kill off a character doesn't, I don't think it amounts to as much. Like, you can have a character you think die off, but depending on how you handle that situation is really what I think matters. Like, character is, developing and evolving off of what even is like no, not a real death. Like, it's just maybe if it's a believed death. But Fujimoto does both at kind of like building the characters before killing them off, as well as some characters just end up dying. So, Aki, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. When it came to Himeno dying, I was like, man, that was rough. And any other character, I was just kind of like, okay, damn, that sucks for them. Aki, as I've said long before, I have a lot of hypes and hopes for his character, and I'm hoping it's not the end for him. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Out of all the characters in Chainsaw Man, he's the one that I'm just going to hold on to hope that is alive. But, like, just Aki I keep saying Aki, so you can tell it's saddening, man. I miss him. I liked him a lot. But Denji and Power, they got an apartment with some of the money that he had saved up and given to him, and they're just kind of like chilling and doing things, and everything just seems to kind of be okay to them. I did like that, like, they pretty much are just going to be living off of like essentially junk food. Like they're not going to be going too much. Like there's only so much that they can do. Like there's like a thing, like a panel that just shows like, oh, food that they have, but I don't believe that Denji or Power ended up. I don't believe that Denji or Power went and made that. I think they just went and bought it. So they're just kind of like living in this weird kind of like. It seems like this almost hazy dream state. They're talking about like watching movies and eating and playing games. It's like in the real world, that sounds normal, but in their world, like it just sounds like a calm before another storm. And when Denji is just like, hanging out, he's eating ice cream that, he bought with the money that Aki gave him. And he's like, oh, cool, I won. And he just had this flash in his mind that he killed Aki. And, man, he just starts like throwing up. He's just not having a good time. And he's hurt. Like, he's not doing well. Like, he's lost somebody that he actually cares about, but he doesn't seem to know how to process it at all. Because we know that he said before, like, he wouldn't really care if Aki died. But obviously, like, since then, like, they got a lot closer. And now Denji doesn't really know how to kind of just let all this, like, function in his brain. Like, it seems almost like he's just short-circuiting. But after a point, like, here comes Makima, who shows up to the scene. And Makima just, again, I feel like anytime that Makima shows up somewhere, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think because of the way that she can see, like, almost everything around her through different creatures, that she is planning everything. I think she saw Denji over here. She saw it as an opportunity to go and, work on her control over him, and then do her thing. It's like, she's just, like, telling Denji stuff, and, he's just listening, and it's just going very calmly, what you'd expect with Denji and Makima. And then she asks him to come over to his place, and he goes over, and I was surprised, and then not really surprised, that the dogs she has a ton of dogs. Also, just, like, her apartment looks nice, too. Like, the outside building looks really nice. The inside looks spacious, clean. I don't know. But especially, like, in comparison to their place. But she's got all these dogs, and it was just kind of weird, like, when I first thought it was like, oh, I guess she's, like, a dog person. We're going to show the cuter side of Makima. I mean, she's still a girl, but I don't know. Like, she's still female. She still was going to have, like, to a degree, probably some of the aspects I feel like most girls have. They love animals. Well, most of them, not all of them, but I feel like majority. But then again, I feel like that's also more people as well. But when it comes to series, especially, and then people, you're gonna want to show the cuter side of female characters. And it's weird to see on Makima, who we know it's like, oh, not only is like, she dangerous, but she's a control devil. And I think that, combined with the fact that, they're dogs, because I don't think it would work with cats. Like, if she had a bunch of cats in her house. Because anybody who knows own dogs versus owning cats, dogs can listen way better. Like, you train a dog, dog's gonna listen. A cat, you don't have the best control over. You could get lucky and be one of those guys you see, like, a video of that, like a cat that does tricks on command or something. But 99.99% of the time, the cats aren't going to give a shit. So she's going to want to have a pet that listens. She's going to have one that's obedient. She can control. That also being part of, her whole thing with the control devil makes a lot of sense to me. And then there's just a lot of, like, real somber, like, moments of, like, Denji just, like, talking to her, and she, you have all this niceness of, she's like, oh, these are all my pets, like, this is this one, this is that one, giving them treats, and then just good emotions. And you can see, like, all the kind of just, like, the way that, dogs are, that when they're happy, they're just mindlessly happy, pretty much. And Denji wants that life. Denji wants this kind of, like, way that he doesn't really have to think about things, and he can kind of just act and live. And I think the growing level of complications in his life over what he wanted, because he just wanted to eat food, do his job, and have fun. But now he's experiencing anguish, and he's seeing more people around him start to fall. And so I think that overwhelming sense of reality and, like, how things are not turning out the way that he wanted just is overcoming to him. It's just going to overcome him, like, immensely. And, like, there's the part at the end when she asks him what he wants, and he's like, he just wants to be her dog. I don't think that's, like, done. I think the obvious joke that people are going to have, simp Denji. I know that's the Denji joke for Makima, because Makima's just great at working him like a puppet. But I think it's more of Denji just wanting, like, a simplistic life where he can be happy, and he doesn't have to think about any of this stuff. All these, like, big, riddling emotions aren't going to be chipping away at his mind. So I don't know, like, the funny thing about, like, when it comes to Chainsaw Man, it's either we're talking about, like, more serious stuff, like lots of badass action, cool scenes, like the meaning behind certain characters and powers and whatnot, and what can mean for the future. But when it comes to like chapters like this, like in between, they're depressing. They hurt, man. They're real sad, and it sucks to see Denji go through this. Like he really just wants to be happy, but every single thing that he gets that he thinks will make him happy just seems to get ripped away and torn away. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe that's part of Mikima's plan. Like, does Mikima like does she like maybe that's one of the reasons why she had like the setup with Aki. Maybe she needs to break Denji down in order to control him, like fully, like get a full grasp and like mind control on him, like so that she had over like Aki and the Angel Devil and stuff. Because that's the one thing that she doesn't seem to have on Denji. She controls him, but through just being able to know how to talk to him and being able to work him. Whereas it's not the same as like if she, had her full mind control over him. Because she, he was pretty much would just be a puppet at that point. And I'm wondering if maybe she's going through steps in order to do it. Maybe it's a different process because Denji is like a hybrid. Because we didn't see the katana or the, or Reze like controlled by Mikima. So maybe it's different. Maybe she can't use it against the hybrids. And she's just like, oh, well, it's got to go through more traditional means of manipulation. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely a really interesting chapter. I'm really hyped to see what comes next in Chainsaw Man. Like, the series is just so intriguing. And I think that's the thing about it that is the biggest trait to it. I think the biggest trait to Chainsaw Man is the fact that you just don't know what's coming up next. And I think that was one of the big things about Chapter 1 as well, is the series was so different, but at the same time, it was different to such a degree you just didn't know where things were going to go. You didn't know, oh, well, how is this going to affect the, X and Y, Z in the next plot point? Like, what exactly is Fujimoto going to, like, direct this in what way? Because, like, if you have a mangaka of, like, a long time, obviously, like, you could pick any like, really big shonen, hundreds of chapters in. The hardcore readers can really kind of get an idea of what the writers are planning based off just, like, being able to kind of, like, get into their head a little bit, kind of just understanding their style. But you can't do that with Fujimoto. And I feel like Chainsaw Man fans know that, and as well as Fujimoto fans know that. And that's one of the things they've just long accepted, but are also very excited about. But we'll see. Very interesting chapter. I really want to see where exactly this story goes from here. Like, what's the plan with, Aki in the future? Is he going to come around? Is he going to be just a memory? And what's the plan with the Gun Devil? Well, what devil and what organization are going to be next? Because if all this was really one arc, assuming this chapter was the last of it, we're going to get 2 more 80-plus chapter stories until potentially the end of Chainsaw Man. And then if Fujimoto has any other ideas along the way, we'll see. Maybe it'll expand it. Maybe it'll get even crazier than what we know. Well, that's pretty much the only guaranteed thing we have, but we'll see. Anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.